people like Donald Trump are also socialists, except they are corporate socialists. They are prepared and do provide hundreds of billions of dollars every single year in subsidies and tax breaks to large corporations and the wealthy.
So in a potential matchup with Donald Trump, there's this odd worry, I think it's odd, that people will label Bernie Sanders a socialist. And that in itself will somehow hurt him. That, once Donald Trump goes on a debate stage or is at an event and says, Bernie Sanders, socialist Sanders, then that's going to ruin his ability to defeat Trump. But on CNN, Anderson Cooper had Bernie Sanders on, and Bernie gave a fantastic explanation on how Donald Trump is also a socialist, but a different kind of socialist. And I think this is the most effective way of really dealing with any kind of question that comes up about this socialist attack line.
And many people who hear the socialism part, right, maybe not the democratic part, and President Trump ultimately will be yelling Venezuela at you as much as possible.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the point. And the other point that I made today is that, in fact, people like Donald Trump are also socialists, except they are corporate socialists. They are prepared and do provide hundreds of billions of dollars every single year in subsidies and tax breaks to large corporations and the wealthy. Anderson, you will remember very well the Wall Street bailout. Now, Wall Street is the epitome of unfettered capitalism. That's what they believe, except when their greed and illegal behavior nearly destroyed the economy, they went begging to the Congress. They were big-time socialists, and they said, we need federal help. Give us $700 billion from the Treasury and trillions of dollars in low-interest loans from the Federal Reserve. You got the fossil fuel industry today, which is literally destroying the planet, and they get billions of dollars in subsidies and tax breaks. You have Amazon, owned by the wealthiest person in this country, Jeff Bezos, made $11 billion last year. That's what Amazon made in profits. They didn't pay a nickel in federal income taxes. So, in fact, you got Donald Trump himself, as part of his housing endeavors, received tens and tens of millions of dollars in subsidies and tax breaks. So you do have socialism in this country, except, as Martin Luther King reminded us, it's socialism for the very rich and unfettered individualism for the poor.
So that's exactly right. This is a point that people are looking at this issue of socialism all wrong. Like the people that are saying, Bernie's going to be called a socialist and that's going to ruin him. What Bernie actually is an outsider. He's able to call out the greed, the corporate greed of the system, of typical politicians. So the way Donald Trump was able to call out Hillary Clinton and her ties to Wall Street, he can't do that to Bernie Sanders. So when Trump did that to Hillary Clinton, it suppressed the vote. It suppressed the Democratic vote. It's not like people went from Democrats to voting for Trump. I mean, I'm sure some did. But for the most part, that wasn't her issue. Her issue was that it suppressed the base. It suppressed people because they thought, I can't, again, vote for a standard politician who gives in to Wall Street, gives into corporate interests, doesn't actually care about fixing issues like healthcare or dealing with climate change seriously, and they stayed home. So when you have a potential candidate in Bernie Sanders go up against Donald Trump, what it does is it flips the script. Donald Trump can no longer use his old tricks that he used on Hillary Clinton in 2016 because he's now faced with a candidate that actually cares about people and has a 40-year record of fighting for people. So this idea of socialism, you can flip it around in 2 seconds. Donald Trump, you're a corporate socialist. And talk about his ties to his administration, who's in it. Steve Mnuchin. I mean, people that are embedded in money, in Wall Street, in corporate America. Like, he can turn around and act like, Trump, you lied to people. You acted like you were an outsider. And you're just like every other standard politician that has ever been president. And he can completely turn it around and show how he is actually, Bernie's actually on the side of people, and Trump is everything he pretended not to be in 2016. So this is how you defeat Donald Trump, and you can only do it with somebody that has the record like Bernie Sanders. Only Bernie Sanders has this record, has this 40-year record, has this fight, has this history. You can't make this case with Joe Biden. You can't even really make this case with Elizabeth Warren. So Elizabeth Warren, yes, is much better than most of the other candidates in the race, but I think there's a massive gap between her and Sanders. So you need somebody that has actually been there the entire time. You can go back to the 80s and see Bernie Sanders fighting for people. I mean, the kinds of old clips that he can put into ads and show people how he's been there for them the entire time. And now you have the opportunity to actually elect a true outsider, a true populist, somebody who is actually on the side of the people. I think that will be a message that will be impossible to beat, because Bernie will be able to bring out millions of voters that did not feel encouraged enough to come out and vote in 2016.